The mechanics of resonance. Why this video captures the modern mind. To understand the success and cultural traction of a video like The Origin of Europeans According to the Bible, one must look beyond the surface-level historical claims and examine the deep-seated psychological, sociological, and theological needs of a modern audience. This video does not exist in a vacuum. It sits at the intersection of a hyper-connected, yet deeply fragmented digital world. The resolution of identity and universality. We live in an era characterized by an intense crisis of identity. Modernity has deconstructed traditional frameworks of belonging, leaving individuals searching for their roots, their lineage, and their place in the grand human story. This video thrives because it addresses a specific demographic query. Where do Europeans come from? While firmly anchoring the answer in a universalist framework. Acts 17:26. He has made from one blood every nation of men. By doing so, the content provides a sense of distinct cultural heritage without falling into the trap of ethno-nationalist exclusion. It offers the viewer a dual comfort, the validation of their specific ancestral journey, and the theological reassurance that they are part of a unified human family created imago Dei, in the image of God. The conciliation of faith and science, the bio-theological bridge. One of the most significant friction points for the modern believer is the perceived dichotomy between biblical literalism and secular science. The video masterfully navigates this tension by introducing the concepts of environmental adaptation, melanin variance, and natural selection within the overarching framework of divine providence. Instead of rejecting the biological reality of skin tone adaptation to UV radiation, the narrative co-opts it. It frames scientific adaptation not as an accident of blind evolution, but as a mechanism designed by God to allow humanity to fulfill the creation mandate, to be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. This intellectual harmony is highly attractive to viewers who want to take both their faith and modern science seriously. The allure of sacred genealogy. Human beings are inherently narrative-driven creatures. We are captivated by genealogies because they transform cold history into personal legacy. The video utilizes Genesis 10, the Table of Nations, an ancient text that many modern readers skip or find dry, and transforms it into a roadmap of European civilization. By connecting mysterious biblical figures like Gomer, Magog, Yavin, and Tiras to well-known historical entities like the Scythians, Greeks, and Thracians, the video satisfies a desire for hidden or ancient knowledge made accessible. As the shadow of sin engulfed humanity, the divine wrath of the Creator descended upon the earth through the cataclysm of the Great Flood. Beneath a pitch-black sky split by violent, jagged purple lightning, apocalyptic waves crashed down, swallowing the ancient world whole. Yet, at the heart of that roaring, chaotic ocean, the weathered wooden silhouette of Noah's Ark stood resilient, surviving the end of days. When the storm that swept away the past finally subsided, leaving a heavy mist clinging to the mountain peaks, the massive vessel found its resting place high upon the jagged rocks of Mount Ararat. Gentle, golden Mediterranean sunlight began to pierce through the heavy gray clouds, illuminating the grand, renewed landscape. Inside the open wooden portico of the Ark, the three brothers, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, stood side by side. Possessing the dignified, idealized beauty of classical antiquities and dressed in early draped tunics, they looked out over the empty earth with eyes filled with profound determination and hope, gathered around a monumental altar of white stone. The family offered a sacrificial fire as a brilliant, divine rainbow spanned across the entire celestial dome, a sacred covenant of eternal restoration. From the heights of the holy mountain, the three branches of a new humanity began their descent, carrying copper utensils and early baggage as they marched into three different geographical directions. Their long shadows stretched across the vast green plains, pointing directly toward the horizons where the great empires of tomorrow would soon be born. On their monumental, multi-generational journey across uncharted territories, a large ancient nomadic tribe, the noble descendants of Japheth, ventured through a rugged, ice-carved mountain pass to advance into the perilous and vast northern frontiers. Men, women, and children, possessing the flawless, idealized facial structures of classical sculpture, packed away their primitive woolen tents and marched with enduring strength alongside heavily laden oxen, their long procession disappearing into a dense, foggy valley of profound cinematic depth and historical grandeur. Elsewhere, along a wild and forgotten coastline, a group of fierce Cimmerian warriors, the brave lineage of Gomer, stood defiant upon a windy, rain-swept cliff overlooking the violent, dark waves of the Black Sea. Clad in heavy draped woolen tunics to brave the elements, they gripped their early classical bronze swords tightly under a moody, ominous overcast sky that mirrored their unbreakable spirit. Across the endless shimmering golden expanses of the Pontic Caspian steppe, the legendary Scythian horse archers of the tribe of Magog galloped at full speed, their intricate leather and polished bronze armor gleaming brilliantly in the warm, dramatic golden hour sunlight as they aimed their bows with flawless, dynamic precision toward the vast horizon. At the very same hour, majestic ancient wooden trireme longships belonging to the seafaring descendants of Javan pulled onto the sun-drenched rocky shores of the Aegean Islands, where tall, athletic sailors with striking classical Hellenic features secured heavy white linen sails under a brilliant, cloudless blue sky, their forms reflected in the clear, turquoise Mediterranean waters in a display of pure neoclassical aesthetic. As night fell upon the ancient world, the fierce Thracian tribesmen, descendants of Tiras, gathered to perform a wild, rhythmic ritual dance around a massive roaring bonfire hidden deep within a primordial forest. Their heavy bronze torques, painted flesh, and raised ceremonial spears caught the dramatic, flickering firelight, casting long, menacing shadows against monumental ancient stone monoliths in an intense, mystical atmosphere of divine chaos. The insatiable pride of mankind soon reached its absolute zenith upon the vast, sun-drenched plains of Shinar, where a monumental empire arose centered around a colossal brick and white marble ziggurat that pierced straight into the upper heavens with flawless classical symmetry. Thousands of builders and slaves, resembling a frantic colony of ants upon giant wooden scaffolding structures, labored tirelessly to carry heavy clay bricks and carve stones to elevate this supreme symbol of human rebellion under a hot, oppressive desert sun. However, this display of imperial grandeur was suddenly shattered by a terrifying divine intervention. A blinding, supernatural beam of radiant golden light pierced straight down from the swirling celestial clouds, striking the majestic marble apex of the tower with apocalyptic force. Across the dizzying heights of the wooden scaffolding, a sudden wave of absolute chaos erupted as ancient stonemasons and architects clad in their sweat-drenched linen tunics, stared at one another with intense confusion, sheer panic, and rising fury. They gesticulated wildly with trembling hands, realization striking like a physical blow as they discovered that they could no longer comprehend a single word of each other's speech. The great construction site of Shinar fell instantly into a haunting, desolate ruin. Finely crafted marble tools were left scattered in the dust. Half-carved Corinthian columns stood silent, and thick plumes of smoke settled over the empty plazas under a gloomy, ominous twilight sky. The grand Babylonian dream had collapsed into historical failure, forcing fragmented, isolated groups of families dressed in their draped classical attire to gather their tribal banners and flee toward the Mediterranean, cast in the massive, sorrowful shadow of the unfinished monument as they wandered into the unknown. Driven by divine disruption, a weary branch of humanity migrated deep into a vast, uncharted European river valley, a silent realm bordered by towering ancient oak forests and shrouded in eternal, heavy mist. The sun hung dangerously low on the horizon, casting a pale, weak light through the dense canopy, creating an atmosphere of sheer survival and early classical exploration against the unforgiving elements. Inside a primitive stone shelter built to withstand the freezing climate, a tribal mother with the striking, sharp facial structures of a classical Hellenistic sculpture sat wrapped in layers of draped woolen linen, cradling her newborn infant close to her chest. The child was born with remarkably fair skin and clear, brilliant blue eyes that caught the warm, flickering glow of the hearth fire, signaling a miraculous and rapid biological adaptation to this sun-deprived northern sanctuary. Out upon the frosty, pale landscapes of the surrounding wilderness, a line of stocky, heavily muscled early European hunters tracked their game through the biting cold, their bodies built to retain heat, clad in thick layers of woven wool and wielding heavy bronze spears. They moved beneath a crisp, frozen sky where pale golden sunbeams pierced through a cold blue color palette, showcasing the gritty reality of life in the ancient north. Near a primitive stone altar, a venerable tribal elder stood in solemn reverence before a monumental, moss-covered sacred oak tree during the autumn thaw, looking up at the falling golden leaves as he meditated on the ancient scripture. "Speak to the earth, and it will teach you." Generations flourished under this harsh crucible until a panoramic view revealed a thriving early European settlement established along a calm, melting river in the spring thaw, where people with diverse light hair tones of blonde, red, and brown worked in perfect harmony, successfully fulfilling the divine mandate to adapt and fill the earth. A grand new epic of history unfolded through a monumental linguistic divide, beautifully conceptualized as an abstract, artistic map, carved into dark stone where glowing rivers of white and golden energy split into two major paths across Europe and the Mediterranean, tracing the epic divergence of the Centum and Satem languages from Shinar. This cultural and linguistic tapestry reached a brilliant intersection within a grand, opulent palace throne room of classical design, where tall, heavily muscled Philistine and Cretan mercenary guards, the legendary Cherethites, stood in rigid formation. Clad in polished bronze muscle cuirasses and magnificent plumed helmets, they guarded the sacred halls alongside ancient Near Eastern dignitaries, creating a vivid spectacle of historical costume design and imperial convergence. Further west, beneath the warm, glowing rays of a Mediterranean sunset in Athens, an ancient Greek scholar from the intellectual line of Javan stood within a pristine white marble pavilion, debating the profound mysteries of the cosmos from a papyrus scroll with his dedicated disciples, while the silhouette of the Acropolis loomed majestically in the background. This intellectual awakening was soon met by unmatched organizational power, as a massive Roman legion marched with rhythmic, iron discipline down a perfectly paved stone highway that cut directly through the rolling European countryside, while a dramatic imperial eagle soared toward the golden sun above, symbolizing the vast infrastructure that would one day carry the New Testament gospel across the continent. Then, in the deep silence of a Mediterranean night, the Apostle Paul lay asleep inside his Roman-style tent, experiencing a brilliant, ethereal vision of a man from Macedonia, clad in a classical Greek chlamys cloak, who stood over him with hands outstretched, pleading desperately, "Come over and help us." The epic tapestry of human history converged at last upon its ultimate glorious destination, beginning inside a monumental, ancient Roman-style stone upper room in Jerusalem during the day of Pentecost. A supernatural spiritual energy filled the space as tiny, divine tongues of holy fire rested above the heads of a diverse multitude of believers gathered from every known nation. Wearing classical drapes and togas, their faces were transfigured with ecstatic joy as they spoke and understood one another's languages with absolute perfection. Outside, upon a high, windswept hill overlooking the ancient metropolis, a profound act of humility unfolded beneath a dramatic, swirling sky, as Roman emperors, brilliant Greek generals, and tribal kings bowed low, laying down their golden laurel wreaths, imperial crowns, and bronze swords at the foot of a gargantuan, glowing wooden cross. Suddenly, the heavens opened to reveal a breathtaking, ultra-wide vision of the New Jerusalem, whose monumental pearl gates were constructed with massive, towering classical Roman columns and triumphant arches of crystalline gold and precious jasper. A boundless, majestic sea of countless human beings from every historical era, all arrayed in flawless white robes, walked in joyful procession toward the open gates of the celestial city. Within the heavenly sanctuary, a crystal-clear river of life, pure as Phalli, drifted peacefully between grand white marble embankments, perfectly reflecting the golden light of the divine presence. On its banks stood the majestic tree of life, its vibrant emerald leaves glowing with a supernatural light that filled the air with an atmosphere of profound healing, eternal peace, and neoclassical utopian beauty. Finally, a magnificent cosmic finale sealed the eternal story. A vast, unified multitude of mankind from every tribe, language, and skin tone, the reconciled lines of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, stood Kevin-hau in pure white-draped robes, lifting their hands in perfect, synchronized worship toward the supreme, central light of the universe, completing the eternal tapestry of divine harmony.